Well, good evening, folks, and welcome to beautiful downtown Mannum, South Australia on the wonderful Murray River, and to our audience tonight. Thank you for coming along, folks. I have the man who does all things guru-like when it comes to computing beside me. Folks, please welcome Vince Pannel. If you haven't met him before, he's our IT guy. I'll try and take our microphone out of the shot for you so it doesn't get so distracting. And Vince been a marvellous help tonight. In fact, we would have had a very choppy show to watch tonight because we've discovered that the building that we're in, which is the Mannum Community Club, we're underneath tonight, so the 5G thing doesn't work too well. Vince has made me up a cable like that, and here we are on the air without a waka. So thank you, mate. You've been invaluable. I now have hot water because of you. I now have a heated vehicle because of him. We have half a fridge working, half a fridge, and we've got about 60% of the lights going.
Yeah. So a bit more to go yet.
A little bit yet, but, you know, we're working on things. Before we get into the show tonight, I want to talk about something that I said in the show last night. I made a statement about a percentage of Australians needing to vote or in a state or federal election that made it valid. And I think I mentioned 50%. Now, the number is wrong. We are waiting to get confirmation. And I know a lot of you have contacted me today about getting confirmation that there is such a law, such a thing. Well, the people that I got that information from, who weren't necessarily too happy that I spat it out of my mouth last night, sorry, Darren, are working on delivering that proof. So we need the documentation. A lot of that documentation has been hidden from us, but Darren Bergwerf is on the hunt and believes that there is a number that makes an election invalid if you don't reach that number of participants. And that is a number we all need to seriously look at, because there is no point in voting. We've now discovered, after what the referendum revealed to us in the state-based breakdowns, 61% of Canberra voted yes. They were the only place in Australia that voted yes. Now, I think it's fairly reasonable to expect that 40% of Canberra is probably private businesses doing their private thing. The rest of it is bureaucracy, or services to do with the bureaucracy, or support services to the bureaucracy. People who are involved in the government or in the bureaucracy at whatever level. How can we as people put our representatives into that place in Canberra and have the bureaucracy block what they do? You can't. We can't allow that to continue. It is, in fact, the bureaucrats that run this country. And yet, the referendum drew into stark reality that they don't. The people run this country. The results of the referendum show that. But what it showed in beautiful, stark detail was the bastards who were working against us. And they are the bureaucracy in Canberra. Now, we know that that's probably the same in every state-based government as well. And after the Voice referendum was lost nationally, we are now finding South Australia, Queensland, and I believe other states are going to try and introduce the Voice via state-based legislation. Now, Vince, you told me when we met up a couple of days ago here that in South Australia there are a couple of One Nation senators in the state parliament.
At least one. At
least one. And you've heard that they were going to be pushing on this matter in South Australia, because how can a South Australian government keep this legislation, because it's already been passed, it is already in your laws. So how can that remain a valid law in this state when this state rejected the Voice so resoundingly?
Correct.
So this is your parliamentarians introducing it by stealth another way. It cannot be allowed to happen. And the folks here already realise that. But tonight I sent a message off to Malcolm Roberts, right-hand man, and asked what the case was regarding that. Now, let me read you the reply. I said, can you confirm with me that One Nation will fight on all state levels where you can, the introduction of the Voice at the state level? So Aidan's written back, I certainly can confirm that One Nation will be fighting this issue at the state level. Every state has emphatically rejected the race-based politics that underpin the voice and underpins talk of treaty and state-based voices. One Nation will be reminding all state leaders of this fact. Is that enough? Is it enough for your One Nation senator to remind the sitting people in power that the people have already rejected this idea? And what happens when the state-based politicians say, so what?
Well,
what is the next step?
You've got to realise they've done this before.
True.
Right? We had that same situation when it came to recognising local government.
Yes, exactly right. We had a referendum in 1988.
88.
Where the nation resoundingly rejected a third tier of government, that being local government, and yet it's been brought in on a state-based
in every state.
Law frame, in every state. They are going to try and do this in every state, regardless. Pluckersuck in Queensland has come out today and said she's going to go and legislate it. What sort of a moron is going to go and legislate that in a state that by far rejected this question by the most? 68% of Queenslanders rejected this question at the referendum. 68%. Now, I know they say referendums do not reflect normal elections. They're not the same as a normal election.
What? Still all the people?
Yeah.
Come on, they're still having a say.
Yeah, we are still the same people. And wouldn't you be pissed off if the referendum that you voted no for was reintroduced by the state government that, you know, is meant to be listening to the people? So if Palaszczuk and co are thinking about doing that in Queensland, I know that there are a lot of very motivated folks in Queensland who will fight this very hard. And I am sure that there is the same kind of feeling here in South Australia. Yep. So Victoria, who knows what sort of feelings are in Victoria at the moment? Everybody's feelings matter so much. I don't think anybody understands what feelings they're having. I know everybody feels a certain way about Dan leaving, but some people feel bad about that, and some people feel good about it, and some people just are feeling other people. It's very confusing in Victoria. And sometimes the people feeling other people aren't sure if they're people at all because they're wearing furry outfits and all sorts of shit. It's weird. Victoria's weird. Well, you've met Darren Bergworth, so what can I say?
I'm sure Darren is going to absolutely love you come Sunday.
Well, let's talk about Sunday. Not that we want to get out of Mannum just yet, because I'm really interested to hear the story of Mannum and the floods from last year. Oh. But Sunday is going to be a big day in Port Adelaide, folks. So if you are in Adelaide, if you are part of a My Place, maybe Noarlunga or Port Adelaide or further south or further north. Or Mount Barker.
Another 2 or 3 came on this week.
Oh, wow. Okay, great. So the place to be on Sunday from 11 a.m. is Collins Reserve in Port Adelaide. So it'll be an open air park thing. Bring your own food, bring your own seat, bring your own drink, bring your own everything. But it's going to be a great day. Darren Bergworth is coming over from Victoria Saturday night, so we'll keep him sober and get him out there Sunday. And also the wonderful Tim Dwyer will be coming along as well. And Tim's chats are always very enlightening, worthwhile coming along and having a bit of a listen to what he has to say too. I think we're going to see a bit of Tim this week because we're off to go and get the H2 unit put in on Thursday. And I haven't given you the figures yet so far for our trip down here, fuel figures and all that, but I will sort those out for you and get them sorted before we start doing the new figures once the H2 unit's in on Thursday. I am planning a bit of a trip after we sort out what's happening with Tim on Thursday/Friday. I think I may head down to Victor Harbour. There's a couple of people down there that I know and I'm keen to catch up with. We might get a little bit of an update on Julian Assange at that time as well. And then Saturday, be back up into Adelaide to pick up Darren, and I don't know, you might find us sleeping on the side of the road somewhere in Adelaide Saturday night for a bit of fun. And then following that, I'll be departing Adelaide Sunday night, and heading back east, but I'll be taking a little bit of a winding trip. I'm going to take a day for some personal stuff. I've got family in Western Victoria that I haven't seen in a very, very long time. Probably some of them I haven't seen for 20 years or more. So if it's possible to catch up with some of them, then I will try and do that during the week. But my week has been shortened somewhat. The mad crew from my place, Vic West, wonderful bunch of girls. Hello, Doris. And Beck from Truth Seekers, part of that group too. We're going to be coming to Melton next Wednesday. So we'll do a live show from 6 p.m. At the Organic Centre in Melton. So I think that's on Melton Valley Way. 6 o'clock next Wednesday night for Vic West My Places. I'm not sure whether Darren will turn up. We haven't invited him yet, but he usually comes without an invite. So he may well turn up. But if not, I'll be there with a bit of a show. And we'll have Beck from Truth Seekers on too. She can come and join me for the night, and we'll see what we can bring together. Really looking forward to doing that. So Melton in Melbourne next Wednesday night. And then following that, back to Bergwerf's, My Place Frankston, for their 2-year anniversary. It is a big party night happening on the Friday night at My Place in Frankston. I think there are 4 bands lined up, barbecues, food, vans, all sorts of stuff. So if you're up for a party, then Friday week in Frankston will be the time and place to be. And then from there, God knows where I'm going to go. It'll be anyone's guess. Vaguely, generally pointed north, but it's a very vague thing at the moment. I might hang around Melbourne until the 11th because the Remembrance Day celebration is something that's deeply personal to me. Anyway, I haven't been to the shrine for a remembrance service in probably 10 years now, and I'm very keen to go along and have a bit of a look at that foundation stone at the shrine, because the last time I was there, I didn't pay any attention to it at all. In fact, I don't think I've paid any attention to it any time I've been there, which is embarrassing to admit. But Darren Bergwerf has a very interesting tale to tell about that foundation stone, and we will tell that story. Australia needs to know it. So, Vince, I suppose there's a few things we can get onto that we initially planned to talk about.
Oh, you mean I have to remember those?
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the misinformation bill. So we've got rid of the voice, so to speak, on a national level. Now we've got to fight that on a state-based level. The next, well, I'm not quite sure of the order. So I think probably in order of importance, the WHO are the big issue that we are facing. Come the 23rd of November, I think it is. If we do not get our politicians to tell the UN and the WHO to jam their contract up their jacksie, we will be automatically inducted into it, and the WHO will gain control of Australian health services in a crisis.
Now, this is the second run at this that they've done.
Yep. Now, Malcolm Roberts came out the first time about a week beforehand, got into the parliament, started ranting and raving, and Australia didn't vote at that first one. We were, what do they call it?
Well, they actually pulled it, I believe. They
did they pull it?
They didn't have enough information, didn't have enough support, so they pulled it.
Well, we need to show them they don't have that support again. And the only way to do that is to contact your local member, right? And make it a priority. Ring them, email them, send them a snail mail, do all three. Make sure that your local representative knows you will hold them personally responsible if Australia's sovereignty is ceded to the WHO, because that's essentially what will happen with this document.
Yeah.
If we are contracted to the WHO, we're under their control at their whim when they decide there is a crisis. And there will be another medical crisis. It will be, cough-based. There has been a little bit of exposure recently in mainstream media. I think the Weekend Australian last weekend had quite a large truth-telling about COVID-19 and the scam that it was. It is very clear now that it was misinformation, and mainstream media are responsible for pushing it. So where does this leave us when it comes to a misinformation bill? I've been talking, according to government, misinformation for 3.5 years or more. But everything I've said turned out to be true. Everything the government said turned out to be lies. Everything the media said turned out to be lies. So with a misinformation bill, what happens to people like me, the others in this movement, who have been borne out factually as correct.
Yeah. There's a great saying, Carl, that a person with integrity will let time prove them right. Our problem here is that even if we let time prove us right, we're not going to be able to, because it's already been classed as misinformation from the start.
That's
when
right.
It wasn't.
That's right. So
and you do know that the government is exempt from it.
Yes, the government has full right to tell you as many lies as you would like. In fact, they already have the ability and the legal backing to go into your own emails and change them and then charge you for what you didn't say in them.
Yeah.
They can do that.
Yep. My first point is prove that you didn't change it.
Yep. Yep. Prove that you haven't been in there and changed it. But that's going to be a legal fight you're going to have to be able to afford to fight. And that's how they break you.
Yep.
It's all about money. It's not about the law, it's about money. And if you're stupid enough to get into their contractual legal system, you're paying both sides and you are the loser. You are seventh in line when it comes to anything in the judicial system, and everybody in that courtroom is ahead of you. Everybody. So the sooner we figure that out, the better.
So you do know that at this stage, I can't find anywhere where you can change a bill that's being put forward to Parliament. We've got areas where you can put a petition in, you can put your comments in. Do they even look at that? We don't know, etc. So really, our only option is to hit every one of the people who are sitting in that Parliament and saying, we don't want this. And that has to be done by personal appearances, by letters, by whatever. That's our only option, because otherwise they're going to bring it in against our will. And, you and I, we say something, how long before they say digital media, but how long before they start controlling this thing?
Mm-hmm.
All right. How long before we heard you said, really? How'd you hear that? Oh, maybe. Yeah. Right. So information bill, another big one. What was this voice thing all about? Well, it proved where Australia sits, but I think it was also majorly distractions so they could pull the WHO in, the misinformation bill in. What's the other thing? What's the other one? You something or other? Unsit? Or?
Oh, yeah. UNDRIP.
UNDRIP.
Yeah. So the UN's, well, it's a different, it's a different duck. It's not. It's the same duck. It's the other wing, and it's an exact copy of the Uluru Statement from the Heart. Or should I say that the UN direction on Indigenous peoples, which is the UNDIP thing we're talking about, is what the Uluru Statement from the Heart was based on, almost word for word, a UN document. Word for word. They changed minor words in it to make it sound a little more Australian. But it is, without doubt, a UN document. It is the UN's Indigenous policy. And the Australian Indigenous nation was the first one they're going to try it out on. Although they have tried it, I believe, or are trying it currently in Canada on the Inuits there, and in certain parts of Asia somewhere. I want to say northern India. I could be wrong. But they are trialling this in certain areas. So that's another thing we need to be all over, and making sure that our politicians know we will not accept. But we get back to, we can tell the politicians to wear blue in the face. What happens to that 61% of morons in the bureaucracy in Canberra who think that they run the country, who think that they can dictate to the people of this nation, who think that they can be Sir Humphrey Appleby? Yeah. Who is the Sir Humphrey Appleby of Australian bureaucracy? Who is it? Does anybody know? Can we find out who that person is? Because there's got to be one. There has to be one of those snakeheads sitting close in the Prime Minister's office, and probably also in the opposition leader's office. Let's find out who these bastards are. Let's put the light on them. They need to be exposed for the traitors to the people of Australia that they are.
Yeah. I think when Babbitt said that they need terms on public servants, that's a good option.
Yep, terms on public servants. But then we also run the problem of having What sort of term do you have to give a public servant for them to achieve something? Do you give them 3 years? Do you give them 5 years? If you give them 5 years, you give them 3 years to train their replacement. That's the problem. We're just going to wind up in the same area. So we need to figure out a system whereby they don't get to train their replacement. And we need to figure out the people that go in can do the job straight away, because we can't relearn the system every 3 years. But the bureaucracy has to go. There has to be term limits, and we need to get rid of every bastard in there right now, particularly at the head. Every department head has to go. And their underlings. Because they've outed themselves. They are the enemy, folks. It could not be clearer. It could not be clearer.
There's actually a brilliant Australian map going around Telegram right now with the no and the yes. And all of Australia is blue, except for this one little tiny little bit that's called ACT. And it just gives you really good representation. So
unlike what we're meant to get out of the ACT, which is really good representation.
Oh, well said.
Because we're not represented in the ACT at all. All right? Don't think for 1 second that you, me, anybody else is represented in Canberra. We are not. We are the slaves. We do what we're told. Or we're punished.
I'm going to take you off track for half a second. We have up here a little thing that says FBN.
We do.
What are your plans for the FBN? And what is FBN?
Oh, shit, you've really taken me off track.
I know. You didn't even know that one was coming. So I'm in trouble now, guys.
Well, the Freedom Broadcast Network is a platform. At the moment, I'm the only one on it, but we don't want it to be that way. What we will do, though, is make sure that those that we do put on the platform are not going to be telling you lies or bullshit, or are not going to be, having secret handshakes in the background, or, passing along information that is harmful to us, the people. There are a lot of people in this movement who are not as they seem. Some of them pertain to have great knowledge. Some of them do have great knowledge. Whether or not all of that knowledge is correct or even physically usable, is useful to us, because we may not know how to action it. Some of this knowledge is very deep, very old. I would ask you to prepare yourself for some deep learning about crowns. If you don't know the difference between the crowns that are used in our monarchy, start learning. There's the St. Edward's crown, which is also known by another name, the Roman Catholic crown. And then Vince says the other one.
Oh, there's 2 or 3. So I don't know enough yet, so I'm not going to say anything until I've got knowledge.
So there is the imperial crown, and then there is the St. Edward's crown.
Yep.
The imperial crown is the crown Australia should be under, but we aren't. We are under a captured monarchy, and if you watched Charles's coronation, I couldn't. I was throwing up into a sick bag, but I did see the odd highlight, and he wore both crowns, but he only took an oath while wearing the Roman Catholic Vatican crown.
Which actually doesn't make sense, because isn't the royalty supposed to be Church of England?
They are the head of the Church of England. You're right.
Just a thought,
Yeah.
Just my history.
Yeah, I can tell you more about that too, but we won't get into that. That's digressing again.
No, we'll be in a whole different trap.
Yeah, so, King Henry VIII had a good idea. Not necessarily killing all the wives, but getting away from the Catholic Church was a very good idea. Unfortunately, they had too great a grip on the monarchy in England, too much control, and have controlled it pretty much all the way through, installing whoever they thought. So when they installed the Windsors, who aren't Windsors at all, they're actually Germans, they installed the Germans. I want to say Warburg.
No, I don't know.
Beg yours? Gutenberg. And changed their name to Windsor. So our kings and queens do have some validity but only if they're wearing the right crown. And at the moment, they're not wearing the right crown. So what does that mean to us? Well, that means that we need to get ourselves under the right crown. And you can do that. You can remove yourself from their system, the Roman Catholic system, and place yourself under the imperial system. And to do that, you need to know your shit in a big way. There is a lot of education you need to learn, because when you stand in a court in this manner, the words you use are going to keep you in or put you, or keep you out of or put you in jail. Right? If you get them wrong, you will go to jail.
Isn't this something that you're thinking of actually starting to run a course on here once we get more information?
Yes. A bit like the Magna Carta courses that Fitz and I ran.
Yep.
I'm still learning about this myself, as is Darren Bergworth. He has put me on this path, and there are some other constitutional types that are very deeply down this path, including Stephen Spears, or Spires, whichever way you prefer to say it, and his cohort, who I am getting abusive text messages from on an almost daily basis. But God love them. Thank you, Yuha. I think we've reached an accommodation. We understand where we're coming from now. So if we can figure out a way to bring this education to you, because it isn't easy to understand. It takes a lot of explanation, and it will take a lot of research on your part if you want to be part of it. I figure if we start classes, we can all do it together and all help each other. And just between you, me, and the gatepost, if we got 100,000 citizens to take the oath under the imperial crown, a lot of good things could happen in this country. We don't need millions. 100,000 pure Australians, men and women, not citizens. We're talking about taking yourself off the citizenship. All right? The argument that we will present to you in coming days and weeks is all about the citizenship that you are on. We will talk about constitutions. We will talk about how the 1901 Constitution is not really for the people. It's actually a political document for the politicians. We will talk about our understanding of what a Commonwealth of Australia is and what a Parliament or government of Australia is. Because if you think they're the same thing or even interrelated, you're wrong. They are very separate, and they both answer to very different masters. The problem is the master of the Commonwealth of Australia at the moment is missing in action. That's the one we want. There isn't one. What we've been given is the other side, the unlawful side. So the citizenship is something you need to get off, and we will teach you how to do that. But I've talked about doing this for 3 years. There's no point in starting this until we know we've got it right.
Yeah.
Because what is the point of educating people on the wrong way to do something? So my problem has been over the last 3 years finding anybody who can guarantee that what we will teach is the right way to do it. And the only way to prove this is to stand in court and use it. And as far as I know, there is one man in Australia who has stood in the Supreme Court and got a positive result. There might be more, but there's only one. And he is one of the people trying desperately to educate me on this subject. So hopefully he might be able to be the person that educates you on this subject too. But we've got to rub a few of the rough edges off him, like Vince.
Well, yeah, well, so a lot of us have been taught a lot of things, and there are certain things that we believe and don't believe. So this is just an educational point at this stage. We'll look through the information. You have to make up your own mind, right? Not everybody's going to agree, but we're all heading in one direction, and that's that one. Right?
So that's what the Freedom, and getting back to your question about the Freedom Broadcasting Network, well, next Wednesday night in Melton, I'll have Beck from Truth Seekers on.
Yep.
Now, I've admired Truth Seekers' work for some time. Beck and I have back channel conversations
That can sometimes be dangerous, just letting you know.
Yeah, he sees a lot of me. It's important that you make your decisions, okay? But what I want to do is make sure that if you are going to make a decision based on something that we've told you, that we've told you everything that you need to know. And that, for me, is one of the biggest issues that I face in what I tell you every day. And I got caught last night from half a conversation that I was having with Darren Bergworth. It ran out of my mouth and I screwed it 6 ways from Sunday, right? And Bergworth rang me today and just said, yeah, thanks for that. So, yeah, look, mea culpa. I do occasionally fire the gob when I shouldn't. But I will always own up to that. There's a lot of people in this business who don't, all right? And I'm not saying that I'm good, bad, or otherwise for doing that. It's just the kind of person I am. I do not want to be a person who tells you mistruths. And so the moment I become aware of the fact that I have told you a mistruth, I will tell you that. And I will apologise for it because I should be better. I should have done better research.
So getting to another question, because this is my chance. I can interview him. He doesn't. We sort of did a bit of a run-in on what we're going to do. We've covered most of those subjects. Anything we've forgotten?
I was just going to mention Iran have threatened Israel in the last hours. Iran are threatening to enter the war and have given Israel a hour's notice to acquiesce, to pull back, to do whatever, or Iran are going to enter the war. Biden is going to stumble up the stairs onto Air Force One and fly his way to Israel on Wednesday. Yeah, good point. Which Biden? Or which Israel? And who knows what will come from there. 2,000 US troops have been put on alert to be sent to Israel in the event that something breaks out. I don't know, a few more paragliders over the border maybe. If Iran enters the war, that could prove to be quite serious. However, Iran has been demonized by the West, by the American West, forever. Oh, well, until Barack Obama came into power. And then Iran got paid $1.5 billion in cash. Thereabouts, flown out on a 747, and they became the preferred supplier of the Middle East, not Israel. That now has swung back a little bit, I guess, considering that Obama is not in power.
Debatable.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And bear in mind, if you are a Q follower, Israel is last.
Yeah, that is an interesting comment.
Yeah.
Now, little bit of global ball seeing here. What is happening? If this comes in, what is the US going to do?
If what comes in?
Right, if Iran comes in and starts doing what they're going to do, what is the US going to do?
I think the US will support Israel.
Which means they're going to declare war.
Yep.
Now, how many people know what happens if the President of the United States declares a war? Supposed President of the United States declares a war. What's supposed to be happening next year?
An election.
And what would get put off because of that? Just saying, right? Is this not a perfect plan to keep power? Right? So that they can do more, like bring in misinformation. The Light paper's got a whole thing about it. It's brilliant.
Can we just mention the Light? I don't know how many people have seen this. The The Light gets published weekly, I think, now.
Is it weekly,
No?
monthly?
Monthly.
Every couple of
Oh,
months.
okay, every couple of months. Yeah, it's an amazing paper. I've seen it everywhere, on the roads everywhere. I pull into truck stops and servos and God knows what, and there is The Light. It is great to see it in so many places around the country. So if you see anybody handing them out or you see them on a stand somewhere, go and grab it. The first time I saw it, I thought, oh, shit, the Mormons have got a paper out. But it's not that at all. Don't be afraid. Give it a look. It's full of great information, not misinfo, as well, they're warning us about in this particular release. So, yeah, great.
So that's one of the things that My Place Mannum has done. Out of our donations, we actually purchase the Light paper here, and it goes into our local news agent, who's very much a good person. She's sitting in the back over there.
Yes, hello, Lynn.
Hello, Lynn.
It's lovely to meet you. When I arrived in Mannum the other day, I knew that Lynn owned the news agency and was part of My Place. So I turned up on Monday morning, was it? So I walked in and I said, oh, I believe the news agency is the font of all knowledge in Mannum. I thought I'd better come in for a download. Poor Lynn nearly fell over. Which was very flattering, but so it was lovely to be able to call in and surprise you. But it's great to see that there is such a good group in Mannum too. And Vince, let's talk about My Place Mannum. You've been instrumental, obviously, in setting up here, but not just here. You travel all over the place.
That's not really true.
What?
No, I'm just one person of My Place Mannum, right?
You mean they're not your mob?
No, not my mob at all.
Really?
Yeah, they're their own people.
Right? Really?
Yeah.
They can do things without you?
Yes.
Oh, I'm impressed.
Right. And we were a freedom group to start off with, and then we saw what Darren Bergworth was doing, liked the concept, and so we all got together and we said, oh, do we want to start a My Place Mannum? We'll be the first one in South Australia.
Yeah, great.
So right. But these guys made the decision, not me.
No, I know.
I don't know why I got picked as the face.
The reason that I bring it up like this is because there has been a little bit of talk around town about Vince's mob.
Yeah. Vince's crew, actually.
Vince's crew.
Vince's crew, actually, is the correct terminology.
There you go. Beg your pardon.
So, no, it's not Vince's crew. They're their own crew.
They're their own crew. Right. Absolutely right. As is everybody in a My Place. If
exactly.
You don't come to a My Place if you're a drone, all right? Because there's nothing for you to do. You've got to be a real worker. You've got to want to get in and sink yourselves in, not just fly around and be told what to do. Because it's only people who take action that make a difference.
Big difference.
And we need to take action. More of us need to take action. I'm not talking about getting your guns out or raising your pitchfork. None of that. Maybe that action is the education that we were talking about earlier. Maybe that is learning our way out of this system, how to remove ourselves from this system. And it can be done. It can be done. There are people who have and are doing it.
Is it also looking at getting systems in place so that if the local government or the South Australian government wants to impose certain sanctions on us, we've got ways around them?
Well, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I think, pardon me, once enough people are educated and have removed themselves from the citizenship, and I'm going to have a meeting with some constitutional sheriffs later this week. Jury's still out with me on the constitutional sheriff idea, because while it sounds like an enforcement arm, I wonder whether or not it would work if they tried to arrest someone.
Oh, we can arrest. A constitutional sheriff could arrest. The trouble is
you can't detain.
You can't hold them and you can't put them anywhere. We have no way of enforcement.
That's right.
And that is a challenge. Well, constitutional sheriffs, I believe, are a good thing. We don't always agree. We have lots of different discussions.
We do have lots of different discussions.
All right. We have no way of enforcing that.
Yeah.
And we have until we have enough people that we can enforce that. We could actually use the camps they built for us.
I was going to say, we could throw ourselves on Anastasia Plakafolk's,
no, we just take
goodwill
it over.
and get the well camp that she gave back to the Wagner family in Toowoomba. $320 million they spent building that camp at the end of the Wellcamp Airport in Toowoomba. Enough for 3,000 people and a little gas outlet in every room and no gas appliances. Now, she's given that facility back to the Wagner family.
Who are the Wagner family?
The Wagner family have owned large tracts of land. They own a cement business, amongst other things, in Toowoomba. They are basically responsible for building everything in the Darling Downs, and very big contractors, very, very big business, huge business. They are probably, if not the wealthiest family in Queensland. They would be, in the top 3 or 4. And this family was given a $320 million taxpayer-funded internment camp. What are they doing with it? Well, they certainly haven't been putting the homeless in it, or they haven't been helping out those folks who can't get rent in Queensland or anywhere else for that matter, because we are getting, that's the other thing we haven't touched on, immigration. If you are overseas and you want to come into Australia, you'll get a house. I'll guarantee it.
Yep.
Over and above an Australian or an Australian family that is sleeping in their car.
Yep, and that's just wrong.
Yep, 100% wrong. They're planning on introducing a lot more immigration next year. Where are we going to put them? Now,
I want to know why first. What's the point? How many people are currently unemployed, whether it be because they didn't take one of those things?
It's not about that. It's not about that. It's about rigging the vote going forward. So when Australia was getting 50,000 illegal boat arrivals from Indonesia, what was happening was the Labor Party at the time was sending their cronies up to Christmas Island and to the onshore base where they were processing. And essentially everybody who came over on those boats, all those war fighting age men and children, no women, or very few women, but all very fit fighting age men. And
don't understand that. Oh, maybe shush. Yes, I do.
Oh, you do understand that, boys?
Yes, I do. I'm going to shut.
Trust me, a lot of little boys left on that boat and left on those boats and never got to Australia. They were used, abused, and thrown overboard and killed before they got here.
So are you saying or suggesting that this might be a warring army?
This is a way of shoring up the Labor vote. What happened was these cronies would go in, and at every stage of the game, those illegals were told, it's Labor that's letting you in. It's Labor that's giving you this money. It's Labor that's going to let you get a house. It's Labor that's going to find you a job. It's Labor that's going to do everything for you. All we ask is that you sign this little thing here that says you can vote, and when you vote Labor.
That would be their citizenship, wouldn't it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, look at that. It all comes around.
So, and believe it or not, there are many illegal immigrants in Australia who have the right to vote but don't have citizenship.
Pardon? How does that work?
When you're Kevin Rudd and Julia Gillard, you can do whatever the fuck you like, clearly, because that's what they did. All right. So the immigration will come from countries that support Labor, right? That come from the left, right? So they're just importing more leftards. That's all they're doing. They don't care if they've got to stay on welfare because that's what the government's for. We're just going to give you a tit to suck on for the rest of your life and keep you happy. Keep your mouth shut and you'll do what you're told. That's how it works. So I have a plan for immigration in Australia. I've had this plan for probably 10 years or more. I've never had any reason to tell it.
Well, probably not a good time now. I'll just keep you off track.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I won't tell it now. But I have a plan for immigration in this country. And it's a bloody good one, if I say so myself. I've thrown it past many, many, many hundreds of people in private situations, asking them to fault it. Now, I'm not looking to have air blown up my ass or patted on the head. I'm looking to find a solution to a problem, a solution that benefits both the immigrant and us as a nation. And I think I found that, or it's certainly found a portion of it, I hope. One day, when the time is right, we will let that out.
Understanding here, though, it's not against the people that come in immigration, because one thing Carl is not is racist, right? So this is about, and I mean, most of Australia is not, and we've proven that with what just happened.
Yep.
Right. What we need to do right now after this vote is we need the audit. That's the next thing.
That's the next thing. Yep.
Right?
We need to audit that $40,000 million
Yep.
a year and find out where it's gone.
Yeah.
Where has it gone? Every year for the last, well, let's say 20 years, right? Noel Pearson, up there on the Noosa North Shore in your big Land Cruiser, mate. How many times do you show your face in far north Queensland? I know First Nations people in far north Queensland that would spear you on sight. You prick. You lying, thieving asshole. You've stolen from your own people and then you shit on them. Yep. And you're not the only one. I can't name one Aboriginal activist that I wouldn't burn at the stake. You are traitors to your own people.
See, he's getting a little hot on the collar. I have to simmer him down a bit now. You're going to have a drink.
I do get a bit upset.
Well,
I hate this.
Reason.
I fucking hate these people. We need to fix that. We need to get rid of the bureaucrats that protect these assholes, and then we need to take them out, stake them out, and let whatever totem come along and eat them. I'd be happy for that. I know a lot of crocodile clans that'd be very happy to supply a totem.
Yes. So and wouldn't it be nice if some of that money actually made it to where it was supposed to be, down to the bottom where the support's needed? This is a brilliant time right now where we can actually go out there and do stuff that is more helpful to the Aboriginal people who are suffering.
Yep.
Right? Because now most of Australia is aware. But for how long will they keep that awareness?
Yeah, that's right. We've got to strike while the iron is hot. We cannot let up on the audit. The audit has to happen. It has to be pushed through. And obviously the bureaucrats aren't going to let that happen easily, all right? Because the bureaucrats are the pricks who hide this money, all right? They're the ones who shuffle it. They're the ones who keep it secret. Yeah. We're coming. We're coming.
Yep. So let's try and diverge off traffic and let's find something else that
we should go fishing. That's a bit relaxing, isn't it?
Fishing, yeah.
You got fish out there in the river?
Yeah, carp.
Carp? Well, it's a fish. Don't have to eat it. I don't eat fish.
Well, this is probably, because from what I understand, it's not great. And not unless you take...
I think you've got to boil it for a long time.
Who knows about carp fishing around
Anybody
here?
got any carp fishing?
It's great as fish emulsion.
It's great as what? Fish emulsion.
It's great as fish emulsion. Great for the garden. Oh, what's that one?
Yeah, so this is...
Oh, National Free Media Summit coming up.
Yeah, this is from Z Media. She's trying to join Freedom Networks together.
Oh, is she?
So
that's interesting. I'd be a bit careful about that.
Well,
just between you and the gatepost.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in the background with Maria that, and I haven't spoken to her recently, but yeah, I've had some interesting phone calls.
Well, that's something else to be decided later.
Yes, we'll have a discussion about that at another time.
Okay.
All
right.
I think we need to be very careful about internationally controlled Australian media, internationally influenced Australian media. Be very careful of that. Very careful.
But the point is that they still have the right to speak.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So have no problem with anybody's right to speak. Just be bloody careful what comes out of your mouth. Because they yell at me.
Yeah, says you.
They yell at me because shit comes out of my mouth, I get yelled at. It seems fair. So,
that works here in my place too, I can tell you.
Oh, I do, yeah.
No, I'm telling you it does. If you make a misdecision, you get in trouble for it.
Well, so we should. We have to be held accountable for our decisions, good, bad, or otherwise, I think. I mean, it doesn't mean we have to applaud and laud those that make correct decisions, nor does it mean we have to vilify those that make incorrect decisions. What we have to do is find that middle ground.
Oh, unless his name is Albanese.
Oh, well, I've got a thing for Albo. In fact, let me show the folks at home. Today, I thought this was absolutely perfect for Albo. Beef stock, chicken stock, or laughing stock. I mean, can this bloke continue in Australia as Prime Minister? No. Okay, so Go home to your little dog. Who's going to replace him?
Yeah.
Maybe me. Jesus, hell will freeze over before I join Labor. Yes, Jacinta Napadera Price for PM. You're the first physical call I've heard for that, but I have seen it written and called for a lot in the last 3 days. I saw her speech this morning on one of the, I think it was on Sky News, I saw it. So she speaks very well. And now she has targeted. Yeah.
She's a senator and senators can't become PM, so that's a problem.
That's okay. She is a senator and unable to become Prime Minister because she's in the Senate. However, she can build a platform now that would see her adequately cross into the House if it was able. And yeah, she'd do pretty well out of that, I think. But will she? She speaks really well, but unfortunately isn't talking to any of us at the moment. So,
in what respect?
Well, won't answer phone calls, doesn't answer emails. So, because I'd love to have her on for a chat, but doesn't seem, nobody in her office seems to get back. So, as is the want with Canberra politicians most of the time.
But hang on, isn't that the bureaucrats again?
Absolutely. It's their ask-arters, their minders. You've got to be able to break through the minders to get to the people that matter. And if the minder doesn't want you to get to them because they don't like what you say, do, think, or feel, you've got no hope. So I don't know. I've given up how many times. I'm sick and tired of writing to politicians at their email addresses. When they reply, they say, "Oh, do you live in my electorate?" "Oh, no, you don't." "Well, I'm not talking to you." Alex Antic, I'm looking at you. Gerard Rennick, I'm looking at you. But no, nobody talks because you don't live in their electorate. Well, this is a bit bigger than your electorate, boys.
This is Australia.
This is the country we're fighting for. And at the moment, you're on the wrong side of it. So we hope that you'll see some light. We hope that you will come and talk with us. We hope we can find a path together. But if not, we know there is a path. Politicians won't like it, but the people will. Very much so. So will the rope makers.
Oh, then we won't say anything more about that.
No, nothing wrong with hemp.
Yeah, that's true.
Great business.
It's a really
great
good
business. Anybody here interested in opening up a hemp business? There are lots of hemp opportunities happening in this country at the moment. Manufacturing walls for, well, just whole houses made out of hemp. Great for insulation. You'll stay warm in the summer, warm in the winter. Warm in the winter, cool in the summer, and very, very, very cheap to produce. Darren Bergworth will have more on that in coming weeks and months too. There is some exciting things happening through my place and other avenues regarding land that's being opened up for people to put houses, properties on, to take ownership, small ownership of large tracts of land, to work in a communal-based area where if you've got enough land, you might be growing wheat or fruit or veggies or whatever, becoming self-sustaining communities, and then being able to provide to the wider community. My place is all about, well, it's all about everything really, but a great focus at this point is on our food security. And the only way we can protect our food security is looking after it ourselves. So my place is making some tremendous inroads with farmers and growers, producers around Victoria, Queensland, New South Wales. And while it's early days, we will get to a stage where we will be able to run a transport network around this country. In fact, I was lucky enough, and hello to the truckies who have seen me travelling around the country recently. Only got my CB fixed yesterday.
For that.
Thanks to Vince. I could hear you, but you couldn't hear me. So thank you to everybody while I'm travelling around on the radio who jumps on the CB and says hi. I really appreciate the sentiment, and I'm sorry that my bloody microphone wasn't working, but we fixed it now, so look out. I'll never stop talking while I'm driving. But yeah, if you see me on the roads, by all means, say hi.
I was gonna say, so does that bring in the look out for the? Oh, no. But anyway, effectively going back to my places, you've been around a lot of my places now. Like Mannum is its own little entity, Mount Barker's its own entity. You know, they're groups that are running with it as their own little entities. but are all sort of under the auspicious banner of My Place Australia, even though they're not, as you would call, a legal member.
Yep.
All right. So when you look at all of these places that you've been, do you see a lot of variance in them?
Well, there's variance, but it's more locality based. It's more a situational difference than anything that's core to the group. What I've found is probably the similarities more than anything. And I know that probably sounds like it should be, but it's difficult. When you get large groups of people together, not everybody agrees. Everybody has an idea or everybody has an opinion, a different slant of doing this or viewing that. And normally you would find that there would be a little bit of, not abrasiveness, not aggression, but there we are, well, that's that side over there and that's that side over there. I have not discovered any kind of segregation or split in mind, body or spirit in any My Place in Australia. The people in Mannum could walk into the people at Maryborough, could walk into the people at Bendigo, could walk into Shepparton, could walk into Toowoomba, Brisbane, Gold Coast, Frankston. We are family.
That's right. Absolutely.
We are family. And to be honest, we are more family than some of my family. Right? Because of the agreement. A Cali shirt.
Yeah, I spotted that when I was
There we go. Sorry. I get excited when I see a Cali shirt.
Brad.
Brad, thanks for wearing that Cali shirt. Good man. I've got my Cali top over there. I will put it on. It's getting a bit chilly. So the Cali, great example, right? Now, the Cali pub in Singleton, wonderful bunch of people, wonderful family own it. They have fought the fight for all of us over a tyrannical council that wanted them to paint over their roof, their red flag. Yeah, the red ensign. Just ridiculous. They were going to tear the pub down. $100,000 fine and tear the pub down. All sorts of evil shit. And Brad and the team just said, no, we're not playing the game. We're fighting. So amongst the first people that we should be applauding, because he was staunch all the way through, was Brad and Shane and the team at the Cali in Singleton. And I'm looking forward to going back to the Cali on my way home to Queensland. It might just be a surprise drop-in. I don't know what day I'm going to be there. But I will be calling in and catching up with Brad and the crew in Cali at the Cali on the way back. So sometime in the next 2 or 3 weeks, maybe, we will cruise past there and maybe do a show if they haven't got anything else on that night. We'll see what happens. But no, this is the beautiful thing about My Place. So, folks, if you go on holidays and you go to a town that has a My Place, go to that My Place. You will be welcomed like family. You will be treated like family, and you will not find differing opinions or angst or suspicion, because they know that you know what we know. We're all on the same page. We're all on the same book. We may not be on the same page, but we're all on the same book. And it's only by networking, by getting our groups together, that those of us that are a little early in the book can catch up a bit quicker, and those of us that may have missed a few spots early in the book are relearning it when we're being educated again by those who are just excited to learn this new truth that they're discovering. And that's why I keep harping back to the fact that when we do find people that are just starting to make discoveries that you might have found 2 or 3 years ago, that you need to remember how excited you were when you found those discoveries and you realised, or how shocked you were and how you wanted to tell people, and how it was, you had to tell people. It was urgent that you told people. And these people feel exactly the same way. They're just telling someone who's known it for 3 years. So don't be too disappointed. Don't show that disappointment. Be excited for them. And then give them that next little thread to pull on. All right? Go and look at this page on the book and give them that thread. Give them the next challenge. Don't laugh at them. Don't say, yeah, I know that, and dismiss them. Be grateful. They've started reading the book. Be grateful. They found the first motivating secret for them. And push them. Encourage them to find more.
Speaking of books, that phone call I got today about Julian Assange.
Yeah.
So
So The Trial of Julian Assange
Yeah.
is a book that's about 18 months old. And I heard the phone call, actually. The gentleman reading it said, oh, well, for the way you think, Vince, you better go and read it. It's right up your alley. So I guess we'll both have to go and find that book now. It is available in the library system, though. So
along with some things that shouldn't be in the library system.
yes, go and
We
look
won't mention those.
go to the children's section to look for those things, will you? Because that's where you'll find them. Oh,
Yeah, right.
don't beg my pardon about that. I'm quite happy to pull libraries apart for putting pornography in the children's section. Quite happy.
Right. So getting us back onto the My Places, because we like to diverge topics. Now that you've been around, what is going to perhaps be the most dangerous thing for this government? Is it the My Places?
Federal government?
Yeah, and state.
I think My Place could have a huge impact on state governments. I think it is from your state-based My Places that your new representatives probably will come. If we can build enough people into My Place so that they have a platform, a supporter base that they can then campaign to, I think we will get doers. I mean, what would happen if we got Darren Bergworth elected as Victorian Premier?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we'd have to make sure someone wrote his speeches for him. Oh, sorry, Darren.
He'd probably give that job to me. Just think, what would it be like if we could get a bloke like Darren Bergworth in as Premier of a state?
The point is that
How powerful would that be?
it'd be great, but we're not into politics. We're into people.
Well, maybe it is by putting a leader who's into the people in charge, the people get some control back.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because we're not going to get it by electing another politician, are we? Right? What we need is a doer and somebody who is going to tell the bureaucrat, well, all right, I'll say tell the bureaucrat, no. I'm not the bloke who'll tell the bureaucrat no. I'll show them in a different way. But Darren might tell them no, but he's plenty capable of showing them no in a different way as well. And maybe that's what's required. So yes, I think My Place, Australia-wide, could also have an impact federally. However, you'd have to believe in the current political system to work that. And I'm afraid neither Darren nor I believe in the current political system. We need to find a new one. This one's buggered. This one's raping us. This one's killing us.
So are we sovereign or are we citizen?
Or we are sovereign. We are sovereign.
According to the government.
I don't care about the government. The government is illegitimate. Illegitimate. Yes, sir.
A friend of mine who's been into this for 40 years said to me 20, 30 years ago that a legal person was reading some legislation and it said, this legislation applies to humans and other animals.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy thought, that's just a grammatical error. Then he was reading some other legislation and he came across it again. And then he decided to investigate all the legislation around the whole world. And it is in all the legislation in the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
We are animals.
Yes.
We do not have any rights.
Human is 2 words. The hue part of it refers to us being monsters. Monster man. That is what we are. Animals. Monster man. So that is what human means. That is why words are important, because we think it means one thing, but in their world, it means something else. When you go home tonight, look up a website called etymology.com and type in nice. Get the etymology of the word nice. You will never call someone a nice person again if you like them. Because, like all things satanic, they reverse the true meanings. So,
like the word including.
yeah,
In our legislation, it's got the word including, and it says 1,000 doctors, including Dr. Smith, said something, something, something.
hmm
1,000 doctors in the front's got nothing to
nothing
do
to
with it.
do with what the doctor
Including
had said.
Dr. Smith is the only part that is relevant, because including does not include the 1,000 doctors.
Hmm.
That's how they trick us.
It is
That's
wordplay.
what you'll learn. It's wordplay.
Words mean a great deal, and we do not understand the language. If you go into court and you try to represent yourself, I have been told by a judge that he looks at you and sees you speaking gibberish, because that's what you're speaking. You cannot be heard. You cannot be understood. You have no standing in their court system because you don't understand, and you don't speak their language. The legal language, legalese, as we colloquially refer to it, is actually a language.
Oh.
Legalese is how they tell us, or how they pull the wool over our eyes in a court, all because of the words.
You're getting love notes.
Conspiracies. Oh, it's an S, not a J.
Yeah, con.
Yeah, piracies. Yeah,
another one.
Conspiracies.
Yeah.
Is conspiracies. So, yes, they can join words, and then we put a meaning to them, but their actual meaning and their lawful meaning under their court system is usually 180 degrees to what we think the understanding of the word is. And that's why 9 times out of 10, unless you know what you are doing in representing yourself, you have no standing, you will lose. They will just administer you. So that's why getting off the citizenship is so important. And you were put on the citizenship unknowingly by your parents. It's what your birth certificate does to you. It puts you on the citizenship, on the Roman citizenship. Blood is taken at birth. Footprint is taken at birth. You get a copy of the footprint. You don't get a copy of the blood. The blood goes to the Vatican, so does the copy of the footprint into your file. And in the Vatican files, your file might contain details of your previous lives. So the Vatican is a shipping office. We are the chattels being shipped. The Vatican keeps track of us. That's all they do. So, well, not anymore. It's been closed for a few years now, thankfully. But we are still under that citizenship, the Roman Catholic citizenship. So it's important we learn how to remove ourselves from that. And
with information comes power.
Yeah, with information comes power. So we are going to try and find that right information. I've been very nervous about introducing the conversation because I don't know enough about it yet. I haven't seen it proved. When I see it proved, I'll believe it. There was a gentleman today who was going into court in Melbourne who I was hopeful might have given me a call to tell me how he got on today, because he was going to stand as the living man and see what happened. Yes. You can try and apply for a live birth certificate. Getting questions from the light. You can apply for a live birth certificate. I believe it takes a long time. They'll make you jump through a number of hoops, and try and dissuade you from it at every turn. There is a cost involved. They will make it as difficult for you as possible. But yes, if you are adopted.
Hello. He's adopted, so am I. We adopted people think. Oh, sorry.
If you are adopted, there might be another way.
We won't go into that.
Yeah. But it does require you having some knowledge of your biological. Well, I'll just call them your biologicals. Leave it at that. But yes, you can certainly screw the court. And I would have, had I had to have fronted to. Well, actually, let's tell that little story. I got pulled up a couple of weeks ago up in Queensland by a motorcycle policeman who informed me that my licence had been suspended by SPUR, the State Penalty Enforcement registry, who have no actual authority to suspend anything. So I wasn't allowed to drive. And I said, oh, okay, well, that's difficult. I'll have to get on a payment plan. Now, I'd been apparently license suspended for 4 weeks at that time. Why? Apparently, I didn't pay a toll. Not surprising. I haven't really paid any tolls in a long time. So I was on the phone making a payment plan, and this copper came back and then handed me a notice to appear in court. Now, up until that time, I'd been really polite. Very nice, handed him my license, played the game, right? I was crook that day. I was helping somebody out with something, and I was over near the airport, a place I ordinarily would steer well clear of. And anyway, this guy nailed me and handed me this notice to appear in court. And I laughed at him. I said, Jesus, you would be stupid, wouldn't you? You've walked past my car now 5 times. Have you not looked at the stickers on the back window? I said, it's going to be an interesting day in court. And I laughed. I said, because we'll have fun. I said, you'll need the whole day. He said, what, for you? I said, yes, you'll need the whole day. If you're going to drag me into court, I'm going to have fun with you. So he walked back and had a look at my back window and found my Magna Carta 1215 Learning Centre sticker and my Article 61 sticker, and got on his motorbike and rode away. I screwed up the court appearance document, even though he did tell me that if I didn't appear, they would put out an arrest warrant for me. I thought about that about a week later, and I thought, shit, what day did he say I should have gone to court? So I rang the court and said, have you got me down for anything recently or coming up in the next few days? No, nothing at all, nothing at all. I said, oh, all right, maybe it was October. He said I had to go in October, right. So I rang just before I left. I said, you got anything for me? No, nothing. And then I got a text at 11 o'clock at night on my phone from the Boondall Highway Police, or Traffic Police, telling me that I didn't have to appear in court anymore.
That had been dropped.
No, it didn't say it had been dropped, just said I didn't have to appear in court. Would I please call them? Do you think I called them?
I would have, just to find out.
No, I'm not going to enter into contract with them.
Ah,
If they want to come and see me, they'll find me. But I won't play the game. And if they do want me in court, well, that'll be a good day, because I will live stream that right from the courthouse.
do you know what I love? I love when your dog goes wandering, you get a fine for the dog wandering at large, and they take your license for it. Like, not the dog's license, your license to drive. How does that work?
You should have heard the woman from Spur on the phone when she said, oh, well, you can't drive. I said, well, I can drive. And she said, no, you can't drive. Your license is suspended. I said, well, I can still drive. But you can't. Your license. I said, no, you have a piece of plastic that you tell me is useless. I have all the skills to drive a car. I can drive. I'm driving right now. Can't you hear? I'm on hands-free. She couldn't compute that. Now, these are the kind of lemmings that they have working in these bureaucracies, right? They don't compute. You can't drive. Germans are the same, right? I have a German mate, very dear friend, lost his license. Drinking. Well, they do, big beers.
Yeah, yes. They're called steins.
Yeah. So he said, I cannot drive. I have no license. I cannot drive. I said, have you forgotten how to drive the car? No. Well, then you can drive. Oh, no, I cannot drive. I don't have a license. No, you can drive. No, I can't. I don't have a license. He could not get through the fact that he could still drive. He just, without that bit of plastic, he couldn't. And the German people are so focused on what they are authorised to do that they will never consider doing what they are not authorised to do. And that's what they'd like the world to come to. The UN would love the world to come to that kind of agreement. That's why Germany played such a large role with Angela Merkel in all of this. Right?
Isn't there a thing it's called Stockholm Syndrome?
Yeah. I suppose that could apply. Could apply.
Well, it applies in Victoria.
Oh, God, yes. Well, it's the only, that or a rigged vote. That's the only way that could work.
Well, I mean, even in the last one, let's say, in all fairness, it sounds like a lot of the people who were in the electorate were definitely keeping an eye on the AEC, right? When you walked in there, they were assisting you. So
Yeah, that's true. This last referendum, there were a lot of our team in those election places,
wearing
in
the
those
little
polling
jackets.
places, wearing the little jackets.
Yeah.
There were a lot of no voters. There were a lot of our team trying to keep the bastards honest as best they could. You were telling me today, was it you telling me today, or was it young Dave thanks Dave, who came in all the way from near Mount Pleasant?
Yeah.
No. Started with an S. Springfield. Springton?
Springton.
Springton.
I don't
Dave
know.
rode over on his bike this morning to come and meet me. I was walking up the street to have some exercise, going to the bakery. And he saw me wandering up the street and ran over, gave me a beautiful present. So thank you, mate. Appreciate that. And he's coming back tomorrow, wants to try and help us fix the lights.
Oh,
so yeah, Dave will be back tomorrow. I think we'll probably have to shout him breakfast somewhere. We'll see where we go. Well,
I noticed the we in that statement.
That's all right. I owe Vince so much. He's helped me out so much since we've been here. I would be freezing to death in my van at nights without him. Who knew that gas was a thing?
It's amazing what it does.
Wow.
You add ignition to it, and sorry, that's too technical.
I just know how to plug microphones in and stay away from dickhead drivers on the roads. Mannum, thank you for having us in your town. It's wonderful to be here. I'm really happy to be here for another couple of days yet. And well, don't be shy. Come up, have a cup of coffee. Always up for a chat. So would love to meet you all, and we'll hang around for a bit of a chat here. We'll let everybody else go and do what they've got to go and do tonight. And tomorrow we'll have a show from the van tomorrow night. Darren Bergworth's coming on the show. He's probably going to kick my ass until it bleeds. And we might have one or two announcements. So that's tomorrow night, Bergworth on the show.
Yep.
Thursday night or Thursday, we'll probably do a couple of things on Thursday. There'll be a live. Whether or not it goes on Rumble, I'm not completely sure. I'll have to carry the laptop around if we do that. We'll figure it out. But we're getting the H2 system, the hydrogen system, fitted to the mobile home or the motorhome on Thursday with Tim Dwyer. And while I haven't given you the numbers yet, there's a good reason for that. I haven't figured them out.
That's one of my jobs tomorrow.
I'll put it in a spreadsheet. He can figure it out. And then we'll have a baseline then to work from on the trip home that will give us an idea of just what sort of benefits the H2 unit brings to both petrol and LPG. You would expect greater benefits to any diesel-powered vehicle. And I know from people that have already contacted me that have had this done, they are getting magnificent, unbelievable results after this has happened. They could not be happier. So if you've got a diesel vehicle, wait and see what we come up with. Go through the process. We're going to actually watch Tim and how it's all installed and all that sort of stuff. He's not shy about showing us how to do it. It's something that if you are mildly mechanical at home, you can do yourself.
You should be able to. Not everybody gets it right, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, Spiros didn't get it right, apparently. Just saying. Spiros ended up bringing the thing back to Tim, and Tim sorted it out for him. But so if you're interested in that technology, and I did have a conversation with a bloke on the side of the road in Murray Bridge the other day when I said, I'm going to get the hydrogen unit fitted. He said, water injection. I said, no, it's hydrogen. It's not water injection. No, it's just water injected. And so, Vince.
It's not water injected. It comes from water, but it is actually hydrogen. It goes through its little process of electrolysis. Coming out of it is pure hydrogen. Right, that goes into the car.
You do not inject water
there is
into the piston.
no O in that equation.
Yeah.
How did that Murray Bridge Sunday?
Murray, we'll discuss that after the live stream.
Roger that. All right.
Now, before I go and hit that button that says end stream,
all right,
everybody say thanks for being here, Australia.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll turn you around so you can all see. There you go.
All right.
Thanks, folks. You guys have a good night, and see you from the van tomorrow.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's rock!